Here's what our final project will look like in Design Space. Now let me show you how I put this together. The first thing that I did was added a template. So let's click on Shapes and add a square. What I'm going to do is put in the dimensions of my pillowcase so that when I add my text, I know exactly how to size my text according to my pillowcase. So let's come up to size, and my pillowcase is 18 by 18 inches. So then we'll hit enter. So there's our template. And now all we have to do is add some text. This is really simple. Just click on text and then type in your names. It's automatically going to be aligned to the left for you. As you can see from alignment, it says to the left. If you want yours to be in the center, you can do that, or if you want it on the right side of the pillow, but I'm gonna leave mine at the left. The next thing that I did was change the font. So let's click on that. Mine is called American Typewriter. And it was a font that I had installed on my computer. I think I probably downloaded this from dafont.com. That's DAFONT.com. But if you just Google American Typewriter font, that'll come up. And it may have been installed on my computer when I bought it. I'm not entirely sure, but there's the font. So let's click on that. So now we have our font. Now I just want to change the spacing between the names. I want it to be a little bit closer together. So let's come up to this edit bar up here. And you see where it says align space? If you decrease this, you'll notice that the names are moving closer together. So I'm just going to keep going until I like it, and I think that's about good. Now, just for visual purposes, I'm going to change this to be white so that I can see it on top of my template. Now let's move the both of these closer. And I'm going to adjust the size by clicking and dragging in the bottom right-hand corner. So now you can just line it up however large or small you want. I'm actually going to make mine as wide as you can on the Cricut Explore 3. So we'll come up to size, and where it says height, I'm going to type in 11.69. Then click on enter, and it will automatically size the width for you proportionally if you leave that little lock on. So this is the largest that the Cricut can cut, the 11.69, the Explore 3. Okay, so I have my dimensions set. And as you can see, this is what it will look like on my pillow. So I'm super excited about that. And then when you're ready to cut, just delete your template, or I like to usually just hide it over here in the layers panel because we're not actually going to be cutting that. We just use it for a visual purpose. Now make sure you have your correct machine selected. You can make this project on any machine really, but if you want to use the Smart Materials, you'll need to make it on the Maker 3, the Explore 3, or you can make it on the Cricut Joy. You just would have to cut the names individually. But we've got the Maker 3, and then we'll click Make It. And then it's going to give us a preview of what it's going to look like. So you'll see that it automatically tells us over here in material size that we need at least 16.5 inches of material. My roll of Smart Iron-On is brand new, and it's 3 feet long. So I'm just going to load the entire thing in, and then we'll cut it down to size at the end. Then from here, make sure that you mirror your image over here on the left. This is going to cut it backwards, but actually it'll be cutting it correctly. It's going to cut through the material, and then we'll put it face down onto the pillowcase. Now click continue, and we'll connect to our Explore 3, and then our cutting setting is going to be Smart Iron-On. And then as you can see, it comes up right here underneath this popular tab. You can also click browse all materials to search for Smart Iron-On. So we'll select that and click done, and now we are good to go. So this is the iron-on we're going to be working with today. It's called Smart Iron-On. This means that you can use it on your Cricut Explore 3 or your Maker 3 without a cutting mat. So we'll just go ahead and get this opened up. It also allows you to make really long cuts, which is really nice. This was actually my first time working with Smart Iron-On, other than using it on the Cricut Joy, but I've never used it on an Explore 3 or Maker 3, so I'm really excited. It does come in various different lengths. This is a 3-foot roll, but if you wanted to get a longer roll, those are available as well. So we'll get this out of the box and then get this loaded into our machine. So when you're working with iron-on vinyl or heat transfer vinyl, there's going to be a dull side, and it's more like a matte finish, and then there's going to be a shiny side. So make sure when you are inserting it into your machine that you do it shiny side down and the dull side up. Alright, so we'll get this loaded in. So I've got it shiny side down and the matte side up. And we'll just push it up against these guides here on the left and slide it underneath to hit the roller. And then we'll hit the flashing load button. And now it's going to pull it through to ensure we have the correct or enough material. But now we're ready to cut, so we will get going. The cool thing about working with smart materials like Smart Iron-On is that it cuts 2 times faster than the previous models. And it is cutting super fast, so it'll save you a lot of time crafting when you use these materials. So we'll let that finish cutting, and then we will unload it and weed it next. Awesome, so it's all finished, so we'll hit the flashing unload button. Wow, this is really big, you guys. Okay, so we'll close this up, and then I'm just going to trim it right away. So we'll grab my scissors, wherever those went. And I'm just cutting down right next to my letters. And then I will be able to use the remainder of the Smart Iron-On for my next project and be able to cut it without a mat. So in order to be able to cut without a mat, you'll need at least 6 inches of material, but we still have plenty left here. So I'm just going to roll this back up and save it for our next project. I did notice that there is a nice big chunk of our material that didn't get cut because the names got shorter at the end. So I'm just going to cut that iron-on away so I can save that for another project. So feel free to save your material wherever you can. So I'm just going to cut around the names. Okay, there was my scrap. So now we can weed. I almost forgot that. And I'm going to grab my weeder tool, and I'm going to start just in the top corner here, and you'll want to pierce through the iron-on. Don't pierce all the way through to this carrier sheet. You'll just want to get the iron-on. And then, thankfully, weeding iron-on is pretty easy. So I'm just going to pull at a 45-degree angle here, and it's going to start to remove that iron-on from around my design. And since this is pretty big, I'm probably going to just cut away a little bit and work in chunks. My scissors. But weeding iron-on, I think, is probably one of my favorite materials to weed out of like adhesive vinyl or infusible ink. What about you guys? You'll have to let me know in the comments below what is your favorite or least favorite material to weed. Nice thing about iron-on is everything stays put really well. Sometimes with adhesive vinyl, you have to worry about it peeling up. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just get this weeded. So I'll finish up around the design, and then we'll do inside of it next. So there is the vinyl removed from around the design, and now I'm going to take my weeder tool and remove the inside of the letters. So I'll just peel those up. Remember, just go through the iron-on and don't pierce through all the way to like through this transparent sheet. The cool thing about this project is I made it pretty big. I mean, my pillowcase is pretty large too. It's about 18 by 18 inches, I think. So I would not have been able to cut this size if I was just using a mat. If you don't have an Explore 3 or don't have the Smart Iron-On, you of course can still make this project. You'll just need to make it a little bit smaller. But anyway, I just finished, and there are our names. Isn't that so much fun? I'm super excited to see this. So let me get cleaned up, and we will get our EasyPress preheated next. When you're working with an EasyPress or the Cricut mug press, we highly recommend using Cricut's heat guide that you can find on the internet. It's going to tell you the exact time and temperature and tons of other helpful instructions specific to your machine. We'll leave a link below for you to access this. So to figure out the settings, I'm going to click on Cricut EasyPress 2, and then you'll select your heat transfer material. Ours is Smart Iron-On. Then you'll need to know what kind of material your base is. My pillowcase is 100% polyester, so we'll select that. And then we'll select the EasyPress mat and click apply. Now, as you can see, it's going to give us a general run through of our instructions up here. So we'll set the EasyPress to 315 degrees Fahrenheit and the timer to 30 seconds. We'll also preheat for 5 seconds, press with light pressure, and then flip and press for 15 seconds. I'll go through all of these instructions with you here. But if you are curious and want to learn more, there are other helpful instructions down here too in terms of your application, care, and all that good stuff. All right, let's get pressing. So as you just saw, we are going to preheat our EasyPress to 315 degrees Fahrenheit. So you'll just hit that thermometer button and then you'll bump it to 315. And then we'll leave it at 30 seconds. And then when it's finished preheating, the C will turn green. And while that's preheating, let's talk through the next steps. So we've got our iron-on design. I'm just going to set this off to the side. And then I've got an EasyPress mat. If you don't have one, you can use a towel. And then here's my pillowcase. So it's about, I think about 18 by 18 inches. And so then I'm going to put my design just on top, just like this. Won't that be fun? So what I'm actually going to do is put my EasyPress mat inside of my pillowcase. That way when I'm pressing, it'll just make it easier. And my mat, I don't think is actually big enough. Yeah, so my design is larger than my mat. And actually my design is also larger than my EasyPress. So we're going to have to press it in chunks. So then while I move my EasyPress, I'll have to move the mat in here as well. And I'll talk through that in a second, but just wanted to give you that heads up. So that's preheated. And I'm actually going to start by just pressing it and getting out any wrinkles. You can also wash your material before you use it. I think it's actually recommended. Just double check on that Cricut heat guide. So now I'm just moving my mat over a little bit and pressing over here. Perfect. And then this is totally optional, but I see some fuzzies on my pillowcase. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to remove those with the lint roller. So now I'm going to tuck my EasyPress mat off to kind of like the bottom left here, because that's where I'm going to align my design. It's going to be aligned to the left. So we'll start with it down there. And then the first thing that we're going to do is actually preheat our pillowcase. And it says to do that for 5 seconds. And since my design is larger than my EasyPress, I'm just going to kind of move it in a circle here and just get the entire area. This is just going to remove any moisture. So don't forget to preheat. Alright, so then once you've done that, we will get our design and we'll get it lined up. And I'm just going to try and get this nice and straight. So I'm using this mat just to help me align it. I think I'm happy with that placement. So I'll push it down. And I am going to grab some heat resistant tape. This step is definitely optional. If you don't have tape, don't stress. But what heat resistant tape will do, will just keep the design in place and help it not from moving. So it'll just make applying it a little bit easier. But you certainly can do this without tape as well. So let me go put a couple pieces of tape down here. Alright, all taped up, and now we're ready to press. So I'm going to start in the bottom left hand corner, apply my EasyPress, and it says light pressure for 30 seconds. And then when you're finished with that area, we'll just move up and press the next chunk. And I might have to bump up my mat actually. So just scooting the mat under here. And now we're going to press this area for 30 seconds as well. Perfect. Oops. And then we have one more section to do, which is just off to the right here. These names. So I adjusted the EasyPress mat again, and now I'm going to place this on top and apply light pressure one last time. And then the last thing that we are going to do is press the back of the pillowcase. So I'm going to just take out my EasyPress mat and flip it over. And again, I'll just start in the bottom left-hand corner, flip your whole pillowcase, and then we will just go section by section. So I'll start in the bottom here and then go up here and then move off to the side. And you only need to go for 15 seconds on the back. I find that doing the preheating and heating from the back helps a lot, so make sure that you remember those steps. So now we'll move up and then we'll move over. Alright, that's 15. And now we can take our pillowcase out, or not pillowcase, the EasyPress mat, because if you remove the mat, it'll cool a lot faster. And now from here, we're just gonna wait a couple seconds. It says to do a peel when it's cool to the touch. So it's cool down here, but it still is warm up here. But while we're waiting, let's actually take a peek because it'll give us an idea of if we need to press again. And that's looking really good. So we'll just leave that there and let this cool down. And like I said, if you remove your mat from it, it'll cool super fast, or a lot faster than if you left this, because this really takes in all the heat. And actually, as I'm just talking, it feels cool to me. So we're gonna go nice and slow. You'll just wanna make sure that you're removing your liner and it's removing super easily. If you're having a hard time and the iron-on is still staying to this clear liner, just press again with your EasyPress for the 30 seconds and then do from the back as well. But this is looking really good. But since we worked in chunks, I'm just gonna go nice and slow. But check that out. Looks like it's perfect. All right, so there's our finished project. What do you guys think? Also let me know in the comments below. I am very, very excited about this. I guess the one thing I would have done differently was put the zipper at the bottom so that when it's sitting on the couch, we won't have to see the zipper, but whoops, I'll just have to remember that for next time. So if you're doing a project like this, consider where your zipper is. But other than that, I'm super, super excited about it. It was so nice to use the Explore 3 and the matless cutting. I love working with iron-on and making projects like this. So don't forget, you can snag all the materials and products used in this video in the comments below. We are an authorized Cricut retailer. We're a family-owned online craft store, so definitely go check us out if you haven't yet. If you have any other questions, we would love to help you, so just let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.